Welcome, guys, to another episode of Hang Out with Mark. So, I got a question for you guys. Have you thought about creating your own compelling offers? Have you really tried to break into your space here, but you just didn't know what it is? What is the problem that you're solving? And even if you do know the problem that you're solving, how do you create an offer that you can then monetize to generate income for your business and do so either in person or online? Well, if any of those questions resonated with you, then you came to the right place. I want to welcome you to another episode of Hang Out with Mark. And I want to thank each and every one of you that tunes in every single week to get advice, the actionable advice that you can take and implement to grow your business, improve your life, and take the next step where you want to go. And today we have a very special guest who I'm going to introduce momentarily, who's going to be very perfect for today's topic. But I also want to say welcome if it's your first time tuning in to the Hang Out with Mark show. If you want to get updated each and every week, the best way to do it is go to www.markwithac.com and sign up, enter your name, your email address, and you'll be kept in the loop with every single week on who our guest is, as well as what the topic is that we're talking about. And once again, today, we're going to be having a great conversation. And we're going to have a great conversation with my friend here, Michelle Brown. Now, Michelle does a lot of things, guys. One of the things when I first met her, I was really intrigued about. She actually was in the corporate world. She was an NFL cheerleader, and she's doing amazing things right now as far as speaking, helping businesses grow, and really helping people transform from the inside out to get the results that they want in their business and in their life, but recognizing that it starts on the inside first. And so, I can't even do a good enough introduction for Michelle here because she actually does quite a bit. We spoke for probably around an hour before we scheduled this episode in the past. So I want to hand it over to you, Michelle, to say hello to the audience and, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Thanks, Mark. Hi, everyone. I'm Michelle Brown. As Mark had mentioned, former NFL cheerleader for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I also spent over a decade in corporate America and then transitioned into a place of living my passion and purpose, which is inspiring people through inspirational speaking, authoring, and executive life coaching. So, it's interesting when you talk about creating a compelling offer. For me, and for many of you, I'm sure, it's not always as easy when you're first starting out. As an entrepreneur or solopreneur, you kind of just learn through baptism by fire. You kind of just take a crash course. I know Mark and I spoke about this. And so when I had left the corporate world, I knew I had a big vision, a big purpose. And I wasn't 100% clear on how do I go about launching my business? I knew I started doing personal development around that time, and I knew that I wanted to be someone of positive influence for others. I wanted to help other people transform, as Mark mentioned, from the inside out, because that's what I had gone through as I was making my way up to becoming a pro NFL cheerleader. And so back then it was confusing and I didn't have clarity and I wasn't confident in what I was doing coming out of corporate. So that was kind of the state of being of where I was upon entering into entrepreneurialism. But I'd like to, Mark, if it's okay with you, kind of start a little bit further back and kind of share the story of what evolved. Is that good?
I think that's a great idea. The audience should hear that, and I think it frames the session perfectly. So please.
Okay, perfect. So as I mentioned, I'm a former pro cheerleader, but I was not a cheerleader growing up. In fact, I was a tomboy. Really, when I was probably around 10 years old, I had a deep desire and dream to be a cheerleader and a dancer. But the challenge was I did not feel confident. I didn't feel good about myself. What happened was I was made fun of And that external bullying eventually turned into internal bullying. So what happened early on in my life is I started this downward spiral of an internal head game. Not believing in myself, not feeling good enough. Back then I didn't feel feminine. I didn't feel pretty enough. I didn't feel like one of the girls. And all that whole belief system limited me from ever even trying out. I didn't even go after my dreams. And what's going to happen, you'll see, is this is relevant as I fast forward into entrepreneurialism, because we are shaped by how we see ourselves, the assumptions, the concepts, the beliefs we hold about ourselves. And a lot of them stem when you're really young. Between the ages of 2 and 6 years old, you are starting to create your lens of how you see yourself in the world. And then as you get up into 18 years old, about 95% of the way you think is on autopilot, creating your results. And so that's what happened with me. I excelled in sports. I played basketball, softball, flag football. As I mentioned, I was a tomboy, but I kept passing on my dream. Middle school, high school, college was kind of the last ditch effort for me to even audition for a dance team or cheer team. But by that time, my mind said, no, you're too old. All these other women have way more experience. So your ship has sailed. So as you can see, that head game really interferes with success and results and magnetizing to you what you want. So after I kind of gave up on that dream, I was in the corporate world and was kind of working my career. But what had happened is a friend of mine when I was in my mid-20s who had just made the Jacksonville Jaguars cheer squad, her name's Jennifer, she came up to me and said that she thought I could audition for the team and she thought I could make it. And I literally looked at her like she had 3 heads. I mean, here I am, a tomboy, and grew up one. I have 0 dance experience, 0 like ability to do splits and pirouettes and turns and all the technical skill that's required. But yet something about what Jennifer said shifted something in my mind. She believed in me when I didn't. And that then planted a seed that grew like a wildflower. It literally took me 3 years to even build up the confidence and courage to even make a decision that I was going to go audition. But once I did, it was game on. Now, during that time, I had developed severe anxiety, severe depression. I was a very ambitious person, but it was coming from a place of not good enough. I went on and, as I said, I excelled in sports, but every sports attainment was to prove that I was good enough. I went and got my MBA, and that was to prove that I was good enough. And even in career, I was clawing up the corporate ladder. So what had happened, what I didn't realize back then, but I realized now, was that lack of self-confidence that I had growing up rooted itself and showed itself in other areas. And so it took a whole head game shift for me to finally make the decision to do what it was going to take, put forth the mental time, energy, and effort and belief in myself to actually go out for the pros. So when I made that decision, that's when I started doing personal development and understanding the power of your mind and your subconscious. And even then, it took me 3 years beyond that to finally make it. You know, I auditioned 1 year, didn't make it, made a semi-pro team, excelled at that, auditioned the next year for the NFL, got to the finals, then got cut. You know what I mean? And so there's this process of resiliency and mental preparation for anyone who's going out for their next level, for the pros. And so that's the same formula that I derived and distilled of what it took for me to get to the pros is what I teach now. So whether you are looking to just launch your entrepreneurial business and have, you know, a clear message and be very articulate about who you want to speak to, how you want to serve them, this formula works there. Or whether you're already a seasoned entrepreneur and you're going to take it to the next level, there are old ways of thinking that you are most likely operating on that it's going to require you to change no matter where you're at. Because if you're going to up level, if you're going to go to the pros, you have to be willing to change your inner game. So that was a mouthful, but I hope that kind of covered the back story, Mark.
Well, I think that that was important. First of all, thank you for sharing that, Michelle, because I think that that adds a ton of value to the audience. And if anyone's wondering, how that may apply to them, I see it right now. Because the reality is a lot of us, including myself, as an entrepreneur, it might be something as simple as creating a website, launching your new project, offering your service, deciding on who your niche is and who your customer is. But we may not even realize deep down why we haven't done that yet. In fact, we might think we tell ourselves these excuses or reasons why we haven't started. Or, you know what, I'll do something when I get everything figured out, when I know all the steps, or I'll take action when I have the program laid out, then I'll approach people and tell them what I do. We come up with all these ideas, which really comes back to these limiting beliefs and things which don't necessarily serve us, that could be preventing us from actually creating something that's going to help us grow and grow in our business. And that's why I think your story is so powerful and can apply to anyone, no matter what the topic is. And one of the things that I wanted to say, and it seems that it's perfect for this episode, although I didn't implant it and neither did you, it really just happened because of the lighting. You're actually sitting right in front of a bridge. And behind you is a picture of a bridge, right? And you're actually right in alignment with being straight on that bridge. And so it shows me that when we're starting somewhere, we're on one side of the bridge and we're like, I want to get there. I want to cross it. Now, this bridge is high up and this bridge may not be sturdy. There might be some rocks on the way and things that need to be uncovered. And so, it's obviously a scary point when you're on the other side and you've never crossed that bridge before and you don't know exactly what's on the other end and the things that you're going to have to come across to get there. And a lot of times, like I said, it relates back to what I first said, there's things that could potentially make us make excuses not to cross the bridge. You know what, I'm safe where I am right now. I would like to know what's on the other side, but you know what, I'm actually okay right now. It's not so bad here. And so I think that that's important, Michelle, before anyone that they address this foundation first, before they go to do anything, before they decide who their brand is, before they decide, what they're going to be offering as a product or service. They need to go through this process, because a lot of people listening, it's really that inner game that's preventing them from getting to where they want to go. And I'm not preaching, because at the same time, it's something that I always need to work on for myself. Once I solve one area, I find that there's another area. And it's always something that you got to be working on. So I wanted to ask you, Michelle, knowing that, or at least me recognizing that, how can someone then start if they're going to start from one place, let's say, and they feel like they cannot, that there's something that's holding them back, or they feel like they want to create something, but they keep coming up with these beliefs or excuses as to why they're not doing it. What can that person do immediately to start getting some clarity and perhaps to start moving forward?
Great question, Mark. And great analogy. I like the bridge. Great question. And so this is what I teach in one of my seminars called Bring Your A Game, because every day is game day. I teach what's called the achievement formula. And in the achievement formula, just like any formula, it's replicatable. Your results, when you follow the formula, you get a result. And what I've come to find, just like you, and just like every entrepreneur, every leader out there, every visionary who's going after their dreams, we all hit those levels. So number one, realize it's okay. Just be gentle with yourself. Like wherever you're at right now, even if you're just starting out, or you're a seasoned entrepreneur, or you've been at this for 10, 15, 20 years, and if you're feeling stuck or blocked, number one, it's okay. Just take a deep breath. Because a lot of times we get into self-judgment, but that's an old paradigm. That's an old, my high achieving clients, even myself included, as a high performer, the tendency is, if I've not hit my goal, then I must be doing something wrong. And that's not necessarily the case. What it is understanding you are expanding yourself. What I've realized, anytime I've gone out for a goal, whether it be in business or personal, attracting my twin flame soulmate, or creating amazing relationships, amazing health in my life, I'm hitting them all. I was tying my happiness to the goal. And I've learned that is not the best way to operate. That's the old way, the old paradigm. The new way is to be happy now. So first step, be gentle with yourself. Second step, have awareness. Recognize when you do feel blocked and give yourself permission to feel. Like a lot of times we try to push our feelings away, or as I used to do, shove everything under the positivity carpet. And there's so much value in being positive and training your brain. I work at the level of the subconscious mind. So my executive life coaching clients who come on and work with me, or when I work with audience members, I teach them about the subconscious and how to reprogram. But what happens is if you forget to feel, you're forgetting to be human. And so let yourself feel the frustration and the anger, whatever's going on in that moment. And let's just say for the next minute, I'm going to feel this emotion with the intention to transmute it, with the intention to shift it. Okay, so first step, be gentle. Second step, having the awareness that something's coming up. Third step, feel. It's okay to feel it. All right, then because here's the deal, when you feel where you're at in that moment, you have massive clarity, and that's what you're looking for. Do you know how many times as an entrepreneur, when I was first starting out, or even as I've been going, where I launch a new program or I'm trying to take it to the next level, where I get frustrated, but through that frustration, I'm really clear about what I do want. So I would advise the audience members, take out a pen, pencil, pen, and paper, and with that clarity, write down, okay, now what do you want? What is your intention? What is your result? What is your end outcome? Because so often when people get stuck in frustration and fear or anger or overwhelm or confusion, they start asking, or they start grappling at, oh, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? And they're like doing, and that doing exhausts you. The right question is, what's my intention? And that's what I call in first step of the equation of the achievement formula is your aim. Being clear about your aim. What's my intention? What is my end outcome? What do I want to feel? How do I want to be? What is the result that I want? Because I know it may take a little bit longer, but once you take that initial step of being clear, then step 2 is align. Align your energy, align your thoughts. Go in and go, okay, what fears are holding me back from this? Here's my end outcome. But is there anything that my higher self, my subconscious is trying to tell me that I feel is blocking me? Because if you give it a voice, it's not going to haunt you anymore. So often we try to push things away and resist it. It's like, no, la, 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 earmuffs. I don't want that to come about, but if you just give yourself an opportunity to be real with yourself for a short amount of time, don't dwell in it. Don't stay in the story. Don't use being blocked as an excuse. Acknowledge like, okay, what's going on? What's my outcome? What's my result? Now let me get into alignment. What would it take for me to feel a little bit better about this? What is one step I could take? So now you start getting into alignment. If you follow Abraham Hicks, or if you follow even Napoleon Hill, author of Think and Grow Rich, Neville Goddard, The Power of Awareness, Joseph Murphy's The Power of the Subconscious Mind. If you read any of those or follow any of those authors and speakers, there's a lot of valuable nuggets in there about how to get into alignment. So that's step 2 of the achievement formula. And then step 3 is action. Aim, align, act. Then you can take action from a place of a new unit of time. You don't have to dredge up the past. You've already worked through it. And I'm just giving you kind of a 50,000 level foot view of this. Simplistic. I drill much deeper into it and bring your A game. And so really, aim plus align plus act equals high achievement, and high achievement from a holistic, balanced place.
I really like that I think why that's so powerful, Michelle, is because you said something in there that made a lot of sense to me. And one of the things you said is it's not just about taking action and creating something from a place of I need to do something. It's about first having an aim, right? And so really knowing what it is that you want to do. And the way to do that is to come from that place you said of frustration. Allow yourself to feel that, because when you're frustrated, you're going to know what it is that you really want. You now know what you don't want, and now you're going to allow yourself to identify with clarity what you do want. So it's not always a good idea to run away from feelings and emotions that are trying to tell us something, right? Every emotion serves its purpose. And like you said, not necessarily dwelling on it, but identifying it, allowing yourself to feel it so that you can get the message there. And when you have that message and you really can get the clarity of what it is that you want, then you can figure out how to align yourself properly. And once you've done that, well, now your action's going to have more meaning. You might be taking a different action than you would if you had not done that and you just said, okay, what's an action I can take? But you were in a state of scared, or you were in a state of, doubt, but you just felt like by taking some action, you get better. So I think that formula is life-changing, not just for me and the listeners, but for pretty much anything that we do. And so I really like that. I was writing it down as you were saying it. I have the notes here. I think and I'm going to be implementing this and using it. But I guess with your respect, Michelle, one of the things I think is going to add a lot of value here is you work with a lot of people. You work with a lot of corporate clients. You work with a lot of people that just want to be successful in general. What would you say is the number one thing that holds these people back from really having or creating, creating what it is that they want?
That inner game, and to be more specific, the inner head game, the critic, that voice that can surface at times that brings up fear, or, ooh, I shouldn't do that, or what if I fail, or this might not work out, or what if they laugh at me? So it's that critic voice. And at the deepest level, the common thread that if you're human at some level, you may have experienced this, is not feeling good enough. And I will say, it's almost a side effect of all the high performers I work with, and I work with pro athletes, PGA golfers, airline professionals, C-level executives, entrepreneurs, 6-7 figure business owners, to moms who are in charge of charities. And all the common thread of a high performer, high achiever is we're go-getters. We're big visionaries. We think big and we're excited. There's something exhilarating inside of us that propels us forward. But it doesn't mean that we don't get nervous or scared going to the next level. And it's just sometimes what will happen is that not good enough shows up only because, not because there's something wrong with us. If you're a human being, your nature is expansion. Why you're here is to create. And as I was saying, every goal I've ever gone after, it's never been about, I've come to realize it's never been about the goal. It's about who I became in the process, and expanding more into love of myself, love of what I'm doing. It expanded my knowledge. And so every single goal I've ever had, or ambition or aspiration, as I look back, it helped me expand. And through that expansion can create unfaulting, like feeling like you're faltering, like not feeling comfortable. Growth comes outside your comfort zone, but with that can feel a sense of not good enough or not worthy. And so if you know that going into it, and you realize, dude, everybody's feeling this at some point. Even the greats have felt unsure of themselves. And that's another way to put it. So it's okay. It's part of the game. In Bring Your A Game, because every day is game day, I teach people life can be a game. It's a choice. It starts with a decision for you to create happiness and joy. And the achievement formula can help you create achievement in a holistic, balanced, fun, exhilarating way. Because you're going to want to take action. I mean, action, and there are times in life where sometimes you do need to just take a little bit of action to start a momentum cycle. But my advice is get the aim clear, get into alignment, even if it just takes 30 seconds, and then take the action. Be clear about where you're going. So.
Thank you for that, Michelle. I think that that's key again, because you know what? This doesn't just apply to the grand scheme of what we want our lives to look like long term or achieving a goal. It's with every little thing. And I think sometimes we forget that. So what I mean by that is even things as creating an offer, things as creating a landing page, creating an ebook, whatever it is, creating a video, starting with that aim, that intention of what you really want to create. Focusing your mind on what you really want to create is going to help you when you create something that's compelling or something that is going to help. Because I think one of the things that I realized when I first started making video, for example, is I used to just create videos and throw them out on YouTube because I wanted to get more comfortable speaking on camera. And so I would share them with people on social media, Facebook, and what I was finding is that I wasn't getting a lot of views, but that was never my intention, to get a lot of views. My intention, first of all, was to help myself overcome my own, I guess you could say, mind, where it's telling me I'm not good enough. No one wants to listen to what I have to say. Wow, that didn't sound right, Mark. You shouldn't say that. Maybe you need to reshoot this 3 or 4 times. I was trying to, overcome or show that limiting voice that, hey, you know what? It really doesn't matter. What's most important here is my message, and how I communicate that. I have something to share and I want to share it. And it may not be perfect. It never will be, because I'm always going to be evolving and changing, even in this very moment, as we all are. So I'll always think of something better to say after I've done it. But the reality is my intention was first for myself to get more comfortable hearing my voice and seeing myself. And then 2, for it to help anyone that watched it. So the intention, even if it was 1 or 2 people or 10 views, it would help those people in some way, shape, or form. And it was funny because I got that back. People would inbox me saying, hey, Mark, thanks for that message today. That really helped me today. And so that was my intention. My intention was never I want to make $1 million off this video on YouTube. So I think that's very important, because if we're creating a compelling offer, we need to know what our intention is. My intention to generate wealth from this is my primary intention, just like you and I had an intention for this episode we started with at the beginning, right? Michelle, I'm glad that you asked me that. Not everyone does. But we both had the exact same intention. And because of that, that's guiding our discussion on what we talk about and what we share in this episode. And I think it's the same thing, and segues perfectly into people that want to create something that they're going to sell. What is your intention with that offer? Is it to provide a ton of value to your target audience? Is it to just provide a free offer to start building your community of people that then create communications with and improve your relationship with? Is it to sell something? Is it to make money? Is it to provide a free offer? Is it to establish yourself as I guess you could say, as an authority in the space? What is your primary intention? What is your secondary? What is your third, tertiary? I'm not even sure what you would say for third, if it's tertiary or something, intention. But what are those intentions? Get clear on it, so that as you're constructing your messages and your marketing and your headlines and what needs to go into it, you actually start putting in what's most important to get you the result that you're looking for. So I just wanted to shout that out there. And then I wanted to ask you, Michelle, I know you've created some, obviously I've subscribed to your email list, and I know that I get emails from you regularly. I know you have a lot of offers that help people get acquainted with your brand and help them know more about who you are. If I were to kind of, take a hit at it, I would say that you obviously would started with a very, very clear intention on what you wanted to do with that email sequence, that I receive those emails every so often in my inbox, and obviously in the creation of the offer that allows me to get to know you a little bit better. But I just wanted to hear from you, maybe, walk me through an example process of maybe, something as simple as you creating emails or creating the PDFs that, people can get when they subscribe to your email list. Maybe just walk through your headspace as far as creating something like that.
Absolutely. No, it's a great question. And yes, it all starts with intention. And so what I would recommend for everyone, there's an excellent TED Talk out there called Start With Why. knowing your why. Simon Sinek pioneered this, at least articulated it beautifully, to help businesses, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and people in general just be clear about their why. Why are you doing what you're doing? So I started with why, and my why is I believe people are conscious creators of their own life experience and are more powerful than they know. And I believe it's their gift to reveal that to themselves. And so I have come to, at least I feel like my purpose is to continue to be a conscious creator on this planet and inspire others to do the same in whatever way is authentic for them. And so I had a vision of being able to reach and touch people in a fun way, but in an uplifting way, where they can take positive inspiration and put it into action. I love positivity, but what would happen is you hear the term be positive, be positive. And sometimes it goes in one ear and out the other, because you're like, yeah, but how can I be positive when I've got this going on or that going on or whatever, you know? And so I wanted to create something where people could actually change the trajectory of their life, where they could actually understand, become aware of who they are, take positive inspiration, but then put it into action. And so that then gave birth to the idea of putting out a weekly free coaching training, which I call my cheer ups. So I believe in giving first. You know, as Zig Ziglar said, help enough people get what they want, and you too shall have what you want. And so coming from a place of giving, I wanted to give a free coaching training every week to my community, my tribe, people that subscribe at themichellebrown.com. And that cheer up, I set an intention every week that I send it out too. So I don't necessarily know exactly what I'm going to send out until that either Sunday or Monday night. I'll send it out, so it'll come in the beginning. But I sit with the intention or with the aim of what is going to be the greatest value for my audience members. So I'm clear about who I want to serve and how I can give. And then an idea will come. I'll just kind of meditate on it, just take a couple of deep breaths in and listen. Instead of trying to force something, I'll just listen. And usually an idea will come in. Send something about inspiration in business, or send something about forgiveness, or whatever it may be. So then I send that out, and that goes out weekly. Like you, when I first started out 5 years ago, I had never been on video from an authentic place, meaning where I was speaking off the cuff. In the NFL training in front of the media, we have an intention too, but we're careful on what we say in the media. We represent a major $1 billion brand, $2 billion brands, the NFL, and then the franchise that you're representing, the team. So I had a different way of interacting in the media. But when I started my own business and wanted to start getting comfortable on camera, like you, I got my aim, I aligned with what I wanted, and then I took action. It's just like Nike says, just do it. Sometimes you just got to do it once you get those other steps. And I did like 17 takes, and I had to just run down the monkey mind of not good enough. Like, oh, I got to reshoot that. Now I can do things in one take, or I can do things live. But, just being clear about what you're doing and then doing it. And so I study who is successful in your industry. Observe who's doing it right. And when I say right, meaning who has what you want and who's been where you are. So if you see someone who's got millions of hits on YouTube, or their ebook or their published book is like rocking it, or they've got a message that's, kind of catered to your audience too, kind of observe those people, and then you craft it your own, make it your own. But if they've got, I was studying it and realized, okay, I need an ebook. So I took 2 days and wrote an ebook. And again, had my intention with that. Before I do anything, I always set my intention. And that's why, Mark, we had the conversation, okay, what's our intention? Before I get on stage, before I talk to my audiences, before I coach my executive clients, before I do an interview, what's my intention? So the mindset of like kind of walking you through is knew my why, knew my vision, got my intention, and then did it, right? And so I created the Cheer Up, which is Cheer Up Trainings, Inspiration to Act On, which is my weekly free coaching training that gets people acquainted with me. I give massive value. It helps them, and it gets me providing value. And then I've got a YouTube series that I just started this year, and that's something I've been ramping up. I'm getting started on ramping up more, but that's called Pep Talks. So those are just videos that can help shed some light. I call it positivity and energy preparedness for life, because that's what PEP stands for. Just helping yourself prepare in these short videos. I wrote the ebook, as I mentioned. Right now, I'm beginning to work on my book that I want to publish and focusing on the talks and presentations that I'm doing. So I've created a comprehensive system, but that doesn't mean that the audience members have to do that. You can just go one angle, but you can just rock it and crush it on YouTube if you want, or be a published author and put all your energy in that too. So.
You know what? I really like what you said there, Michelle, because what I kept hearing there was this whole thing of inspiration. Now, we may have not used the word inspiration, but everything that compelled you to create the materials that you are creating and have created came from a place of inspiration. It wasn't like, okay, I need to do this because this person's doing this, so I'm going to create this, this, and this, and then with no energy or emotion into it. It's just like I'm doing it because I've seen that's how it should be done. And I've tried that, and it does work to some degree, but then you fall off, I find. So I like that advice that you gave as well, Michelle, where it's like, look, you can pick whatever you want to pick, but at the end of the day, your message is going to be clearer and you're going to be more compelling when you're creating something from a place of inspiration. So it's one thing to create a content calendar and have, every single week know exactly what you're going to talk about. That keeps you accountable. That's a great way, and things that you could provide value to your email list. But at the end of the day, what's going to be the most compelling is a thing that's coming from inspiration and from a place where you really are providing a place of value and service to your audience. And so I think that's what I took away from everything. When I dissect that's what I took away from everything that you created and everything you've done. And just like we talked about how to get started and identify who our target audience is, and all those things are going to be important with respect to aiming. Right? We got to aim. We have to have intention. Just recapping some of the things we talked about. Aiming and intention with what it is that we want, aligning with that intention, and then action. And so when we have that basis and we know from that place, we know who we want to serve, we know who our audience is, we know who our niche is, and now we can do that same thing with, okay, what am I inspired to create and give out here? Because giving first, like you said, is important. What am I going to do here that's going to allow me to now build that brand, to now build that communication, to build that relationship with my audience, with my desired audience? And it will be compelling when we're coming from that place. And that's why this conversation that you and I are having is so important, because these are the foundations that are going to be applied in anything that anyone does, whether it's creating a compelling offer, whether it's creating an ebook, whether it's creating a speech that they're going to give to thousands of people, whether it's creating a YouTube video or a YouTube series. And that's why I'm so grateful that you shared and actually walked us through what you're doing and the thought process for doing that, so that people can say, okay, this is how I should approach it. And I wanted to know what else. I mean, is there anything else that you can think of, Michelle, that's top of your mind that you would want to share with the audience before we get to a little bit more about what you're working on and where people can find more about you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So to your point on the compelling offer, once you've got your intention, your vision, your why, you've identified your niche, that was key. And that's been something where I had hit roadblocks and identifying what's my niche, who am I actually serving, what's my ideal client. So in order to create a compelling offer, really expending the energy there and investing your energy there is going to be key, because once you harness your audience, it's your ideal target, your ideal client, Become intimately involved with them. Know what they like, what they don't like, what keeps them up at night, what problems do they struggle with, what are their challenges. I mean, have you ever just gotten an email, like where you got a sales email or something, and like they were asking you questions that were just exactly on your mind? That's because you're their ideal client and they know you intimately. And I always praise people who have marketing initiatives that are really geared towards me, because I feel heard and as a ideal client for someone else. But so do the same for your ideal client. Know them intimately, and what is their problem? In order to create a compelling offer, you have to solve something for them, make their life easier, help them in some way, shape, or form that they're gonna, like, whatever it is, you can solve it for them. And not in a salesy way. I'm not in the business of chasing. I tell my clients this, and even I was sitting in a board meeting the other day working with another client where we were, instead of chasing investors and ideal clients, we're magnetizing. We're drawing in through our energy, through our intention. I mean, we take action, of course, but when you're that clear, focused, specific, you know the problem, you solve it, and you are catering to them, you're outward focused. That's a big key. Be clear about what you want. You got to take care of you as well. Like, when you're thriving, other people will thrive. But once you are clear and you've got yourself in alignment, then be outward focused. Then it's about the customer. It's about the ideal client. How can you serve them, make their life better? And then, pose a question for them. You have the problem, pose a question for them, then show your solution. So that was on my mind, but also kind of something, just a side note, to overcome the not good enough block that many high achievers, high performers can get entangled in, or the uncertainty block. Just be okay with uncertainty. It's helping you derive conclusions, arrive at new decisions, and giving you the clarity. But also remember, you came here for a massive purpose: to expand yourself, to experience life, to share your gifts. And everyone's gift is so unique. I have another program that I teach called The Cheerleader in You. And it's finding your own internal confidence and leading from within, from a place of authenticity. And so in any of those moments when you start to judge yourself, or that, let's say it's called the critic voice, starts to judge you, or you're feeling frustrated or fearful, just remember, there is no one else on this planet like you. Even though other people might be doing similar things, the information that you're translating through you, your unique thoughts, ideas, the same information is out there. It's just spoken in different ways. Call it channeled in different ways. And so just kind of lean back into that knowingness, that confidence that it's okay if you don't have it all figured out. You don't have to. This is your game too. You're playing a game. We're all playing a game. And the way to have fun is to just live your purpose, like live your unique self fully. And that means sharing your gifts. And that means not coming from a competitive mindset, but coming from a creative mindset. Supersede the competitive plane. You don't need to compete. There's enough to go around of target audiences and resources and whatnot for every single person to come and share their unique gift. So it's okay if you feel a little bit ungrounded. Just know you're here for a major purpose.
Well, inspiring message there, Michelle. I think everyone needed to hear that, and I'm really glad that you hit on that, because you're right. Everyone here, if you're listening to this, you're watching this, even if you're not, if people that are not listening to this, we're here for a big purpose. Now, whether you choose to believe that or not, I would encourage you to go through the exercise that Michelle has told us today. Because I think once you do that, you'll start to realize that there's truth in that statement. Really aim, right? Align yourself with that intention, what you really, really want. And then from that place, take action. And that's how I wanted to recap the episode. But before we get into finding out where we can find out more about you, Michelle, I wanted to know if we had one piece of homework for the audience to do, I always like to give a piece of homework. What would you say should be a good takeaway for them to go ahead and apply?
Get clear on their why. Why are they doing what they're doing? What do they believe in? Because to just say you have a goal is one level, but to have a goal or a desire or an experience you want to create and back it with emotion, that's your why. That's the passion, that's the purpose. The emotion, when you emotionalize something, you materialize it. And so, get clear on your why today. Take out a piece of paper, go watch that TED Talk by Simon Sinek called The Power of Why, I think it is, or Know Your Why. And then really, once you know why you're doing what you're doing, be clear about who you want to serve. If in the health and fitness industry, if you're in that space, be clear about who specifically. When I first started out, my focus was only women, but women is really broad. Now I work with men and women, but my focus is executives, entrepreneurs, leaders. And that is just the niche that I tend to serve. Doesn't mean other people aren't positively impacted. Tons of people will watch my stuff and have downloaded my ebook and whatever, but so that I could be specific in my marketing, know your niche. So I'd say those are the two big pieces of homework that I would start with.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I think those are going to be key. I actually want to redo those and really strengthen my why and make sure that I'm focusing really on my niche, because it's easy for me to get away from my marketing message when I'm not clear on those things. So I think that not only adds a ton of value to me, but everyone listening. And so, Michelle, if you had to say, is there any specific project that you're working on right now, or where can people go to get more connected with you, to get more information, to work with you? What should that person that wants to take the next step do?
So if you go to themichellebrown.com, that's TheMichellebrown.com. So it's Michelle with one L. Themichellebrown.com. You can download my free ebook called Cheer Up, 6 Steps to Igniting Your Confidence. And then you'll also be receiving my free trainings each week, coaching trainings. So if you've ever felt frustrated or overwhelmed, stuck or blocked, I have an online program called Mindset Reset. It's a 30-day foundational intensive program that you do online in the comfort of your own home. But in that 30 days, it resets your mindset so that you can now start to up-level, taking action from a different place. And I also teach in that program how to rewire your subconscious mind, because that's the biggest challenge people face. People have really good intentions, but 95% of the way you think is on autopilot. You're thinking automatically, and you're getting the same results over and over again because that's the habits of your subconscious mind. I mean, it's not that you can't change it. It's just most people don't know you're just a creature of habit. When you change the beliefs that stem from when you were in childhood, and all a belief is just a thought you keep thinking. When you change those thoughts, you change your beliefs, you change the physiological chemical stuff that's going on in your body, you change the habits, you change your actions, you change your results. So I teach that in Mindset Reset. But there's a bunch of free stuff at themichellebrown.com. And then, I speak, but that's not open to the public. People hire me to speak through my keynotes with Bring Your A Game, because every day's game day, and The Cheerleader in You. So.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Michelle, for jumping on here and providing so much value and sharing with the audience, about actionable, real tangible things that they can do to start getting real results in their life and to really create compelling messaging that's going to work for their niche, for their audience, and how to start from that foundation. I also want to thank you for sharing all of the resources and access to free resources they can get, so they can get to know you better, and they can find, what's in here for me, what's going to make a difference for me. And I'm really happy and glad that you said that, because I'm actually going to go look at that. Rewiring your subconscious mind, huge. Huge. I've been reading a lot about that recently, and the fact that you put something actionable in that can help people do that so that they can really get the results they want, well, that's a game changer in itself, because it's one thing to know about that, and then it's the other thing to have a way of changing it. So thank you for sharing that with my audience.
Absolutely.
And every single one of you listening, thank you again for tuning in. If you want to find out who's on our next week's episode, as well as what next week's topic is, go ahead to marcgaudett.com. That's M-A-R-C, Gaudett, Gaudett.com, and sign up with your email and your name, and we'll send you an email next week before the show to let you know what's going to be happening on Hangout with Marc. We love each and every one of you guys. Stay inspired, empowered to operate your life from a place of freedom, and go ahead and do the homework that Michelle had told you guys to do. It's going to change your life. And thank you again, Michelle, for being on the Hangout with Marc show.
Thanks, Marc.
See you guys.